All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for checking out this episode, this clip here of Wire LA, Your Revolution Los Angeles. Here with us today, Chris Rod and Annalise Garcia. How you doing, Annalise?
Hey, Chris. I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good, except, of course, we have some crazy stuff in the news and something that happened on October 1st, of course. Let me just get right into it, if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so President Trump, he received positive test results, testing for COVID on October 1st, and was actually airlifted to Walter Reed for extensive treatment and hospitalization. Was there for 3 nights. The White House even released that he was taking an experimental cocktail. So as soon as I heard that, I thought, okay, that means he took hydroxychloroquine, bleach injections, right? Interior UVA, broad spectrum, mind you, and UVB magic micro invasive lighting inside of his body. Of course, he didn't do any of that, even though he's trying to, grift people to do that and his stupidity. But no, actually, he was on a very special care here, which was dexamethasone, which is a steroid, remdesivir, and Regeneron. So these are things that others have not. Many others have not had access to, of course. I mean, he is the president. But also, just to get back to it, in the following week, Trump seems to be recovering from the illness. However, of course, the White House doctors will not say that he has tested negative. So that means that he's still positive, of course, because we all know that Trump will be, screaming that literally from the rooftops and probably the rooftop of the White House, saying that. But really, before I hand it over to you, Annalise, I just kind of want to get into what some of the COVID task force from the White House has said, something that I think is important for voters here in LA to know. They were saying that Trump fans will never wear masks, according to the Daily Beast. This was an article that was released just recently. They're saying that Trump's infection with COVID had presented an opportunity for him to personally change his behavior, which, of course, we were all hoping, right, to a certain degree. But look, it didn't change his point of view. And White House senior health officials say that this is when they realized that the time to convince Americans, in quotes, that's when I realized that the time to convince Americans to take all these health precautions seriously in order to prevent the spread was totally over. Now, that's extremely important for us to realize when we're struggling, when businesses are struggling to stay open, they're closing. They won't even have a new set of relief, economic relief for the people. And also the fact that there are so many people, even in my personal life, that I come across every day that will come up to me. People that I know are Trump supporters will come up to me without a mask, and it's very dangerous. I don't know who else they're seeing without a mask. So the fact that he got it and he's okay so far also, shows us that COVID's all about privilege, right? Like when it comes to healthcare, it's about privilege. Privilege that only Trump was able to get a certain type of treatment that others couldn't really exposes that system. With all this being said, Annalise, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I don't think anyone is surprised that he got COVID. I think that it was something that most people assumed was, likely, considering the fact that he has not been taking the precautions that he needs to take. I think what this really comes down to now is, obviously we know he hasn't learned anything, but the question is really going to be, how is this going to affect his supporters, right? How is this going to affect the people who follow him, who heard him say over and over and over again things like, oh, it's no big deal, it's a hoax, you don't need to wear a mask, So there was a point, this was not that long ago, just a few weeks ago, where I felt, that this might be another 2016 situation where, the polls were saying that Hillary was going to win in 2016 and Trump ended up winning. Now, though, I do wonder with his, his taxes finally coming out and people who are making $40,000 a year realizing, how am I paying more in taxes than this guy who's made billions, right? And that extends all the way to his supporters. So between that and now him getting COVID and people seeing it's not a hoax because even the president got it, and it really doesn't care who you are. It will just attack you and you'll get it. So I think this is really going to maybe shift things in a way towards Biden that I had not seen as possible before. I thought it was pretty much sealed that Trump was going to win. But now I do think there's a chance that Biden might win because of everything that's going on. And the sad thing is Biden hasn't really had to do anything. He hasn't had to do anything. In fact, right. And now we're not even going to have a second presidential debate. So for me, this is, I mean, all this shows is he clearly still hasn't learned his lesson, and he's never going to. I think we need to stop thinking that Trump is ever going to get his due or learn his lesson. This is just who he is. The man is in his 70s. He's not changing at this point. This is who he is. So what this is really about, I think, now is going to be seeing how between the COVID and the taxes, how has that affected his base? And, you know, I don't know. I still think it's up in the air. I still think either of them could win, but I do think that now Biden has an opportunity that he may not have had before. What do you think?
Well, I think it's absolutely correct. I mean, I don't know. When it comes down to Trump, he's such a con man, and the fact that the media is so cowardly whenever it comes to Trump, so they may not be able to expose exactly like what he's going through and the BS that he's imparting upon the people. I mean, more to what you were saying earlier, you know, that hopefully this would help others put on their masks or actually take it seriously. But, you know, you're so right. He's a 74-year-old man who is overweight, who is in that demographic that we know people are more likely at risk to die. And he's still like, whatever, taking off the mask. Look, did you see, I saw this little clip that's gone all over Twitter with over 7 million views, where Trump just specifically has con man speak. And this is exactly what he said. I have the quote right here. So he was speaking to senior citizens on the White House lawn, and he goes, "You're not vulnerable, but they like to say the vulnerable, but you're the least vulnerable. But for this one thing, you are vulnerable." Like, what the hell is he saying? Like this, like, that's such a freaking common way of speaking, where you just like twist people up into, you know, into pretzels, hoping that they'll just buy it and eat it, you know, and taking all the sodium. It's crazy. Did you hear that one from him?
No, I have, but honestly, at this point, everything just blurs in for me because everything is so unintelligible. They did this. They actually put his words several times throughout his presidency on paper, and they're unreadable. The way he speaks is so oral that you can't understand it on paper. It's crazy.
Right. So let me see some other stuff here that I thought was important. Of course, is this. They're saying that there's a lot of pressure going on in the White House. And so just to quickly get to it, the White House is saying right now that instead of focusing more on how to stop the virus, their focus now, based off of Trump, is with Trump's directive, is saying to focus entirely on reopening the country no matter the cost. That there are officials saying that if you wear the mask in front of him in a meeting, that the president himself will be the one to ridicule you. And so all that Trump and all them are focused on is reopening schools, bars, and restaurants. Quickly, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, look, when they say whatever the cost, let's translate that. What they mean is however many Americans have to die. That's the cost. The cost is lives. That's what they're talking about when they say the cost. So, look, this is just very clearly, again, our government not caring if we live or die, and in fact, assisting in our murders by only caring about continuing to keep the wealthy. And hey, if a few 100,000 Americans have to die in the process, so be it.
It's absolutely disgusting.
Hi everyone, thanks for stopping by and spending time with us today. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons and support us on Patreon so we can keep bringing you some amazing content. You can also follow us on social media. Links are all below. We'll see you guys next time. And remember, this is your revolution.